Greetings to all participants. I would like to extend a warm welcome to each of you for joining us today. Today marks as World Food Safety Day. So first of all, I would like to extend my wishes to everyone on this special occasion dedicated to food safety worldwide. My name is Kusum, and we are here representing FoodSafetyWorks. But before we proceed into the topic, allow me to introduce our company. We are FoodSafetyWorks, a team of experts including food technologists, microbiologists, and nutritionists. Our company is specialized in providing comprehensive solutions for food businesses. With over 100 years of combined expertise in food safety, food technology, and operation, we have a deep understanding of both national and international standards and regulations related to food. We are FSSAI partner for FOSTEC and ServSafe program. ServSafe program. This brief introduction given you an overview of our company's expertise. Now let's move on to today's session. This session is scheduled for 1 hour, and we have a Molly Mukherjee with us. Molly is a lead from client engagement team at FoodSafetyWorks. In today's session, she will help you understand the concept of food safety and provide insights into the current scenario of the food industry in India. Please feel free to ask any questions you may have during or after the session. You can type your queries in the chat box provided, and Molly will address them accordingly. Once the session concludes, you will have the opportunity to download a complimentary certificate as a token of participation. So with that said, I will now hand over the session to Molly. Welcome, Molly.
Thank you, Kusum, for the introduction. Welcome everyone to today's session. So quickly, I just want to know if all of you are, you can mention in the chat box if you are students, if you are any professionals that working in the industry. So quickly, can you just mention that, maybe your name and if you are a student or a professional. Give about a minute or 30 seconds for that. All right, so I don't see anybody responding.
Please feel free to respond.
Akash, you are a student, Akash?
No, I am a professor.
All right. What about others? Are you students or are you professionals?
Ma'am, this is Vani Koduri. I'm a professional auditor.
All right. Welcome you here.
Thank you.
Anybody else? All right. So when we talk about food safety regulations in India, right, today's topic is that. So Kusum has briefly told us about what today is, right? It is a significant day, right, which is organized by WHO. It is the 5th World Safety Day. Why is World Food Safety Day celebrated around the world, right? Because in the entire world, there are different countries who follow different regulations in terms of food safety and what has to be done in terms of a product testing and all that, right? So WHO is trying to bring the entire world together in the hope that it will help prevent, detect, and minimize the risk of foodborne illnesses, contributing to the food security and human health. Right? That is the aim, aim of WHO to actually organize the World Food Safety Day. So this session, considering this was for students specifically, so how would this session actually benefit you? If you are a professional, I'm sure you would have an idea about how, since you are already in this industry, you would have an idea about what is happening, how big is this industry, when we talk about the food industry in India, right? How big is the industry? So the India's food processing sector will be expected to be the 535 billion US dollars by 2025. So it's a huge market. It's an immense market that India has. So right now it's lesser, but then by 2025, it is expected to be $535 billion. It's a huge amount, right? So this sector can actually generate 9 million jobs by 2024. So since some of you are already in this field, you know that the amount of opportunities that are there in this industry, right? And what you can give across to the society when you are from this industry, right? There are about 1,60,000 people or 16 lakh people who get sick, eating unsafe food on an average. There are people who are children who are below the age of 5 years, right? Every day they are dying because of foodborne diseases every day, right? So this is a problem worldwide, and especially in countries like underdeveloped countries or developing countries, and especially in our country, wherein we have a lot of food vendors, wherein we go out on the street and we eat the food, right? But they don't know what is it that they have to do in order to make sure that the food that they are providing to the people are safe for consumption, right? It is all about awareness. It is all about the fact what impact you can make as a person, as an individual, as a company, to ensure that our country gets better food in terms of, and better food gives better economy, better health, gives better economy, right? At the end of the day, it all boils down to the fact that where we are as a country. So just to give you an idea, have you seen, anybody knows this movie? Although it's a very bad movie, but then I would just wanted to give this as an example, because this is the only movie that I could really find wherein a food safety officer is shown in a movie, right? Although the movie is totally out of context, this has nothing to do with what actually you can do in order to make a change or an impact, right? But then just to give you a context, this movie was there, Aruvam, right? If anybody knows this movie, no? All right. So moving on, what is food safety, right? It's a very basic question. It's a very simple question. What is food safety? It is a scientific discipline describing ways to handle, prepare, store, transport food in a way that prevents foodborne illnesses, right? It's a very simple thing. It's not, it doesn't say anything like it's a huge rocket science, right? It's very simple. Handling, preparation, storage, transport, that's all it takes to ensure that the food that you are producing, the food that you are eating is safe and does not have any foodborne illnesses for the consumer of the food, right? So anybody wants to say anything in terms of what their idea of food safety is? You can write it down on the chat, or you can just unmute yourself and tell me what is your idea of food safety. What do you think about food safety when we talk about food safety in India? Anybody? All right, moving on. So why is food safety important, right? Food is a high risk product. Not all food, but most of the food that we eat, if it is dairy, it's a high risk food. So you can see few cases that I've put in here, right? FSSAI finds 32 new cases with misleading ads, which is claimed by food biz operators. Kerala food poisoning case, the restaurant owner and cook is arrested, right? FSSAI is giving importance to the fact that, are you aware about food safety? Are you ensuring that everything in your premise is being taken care of, right? Testing, are you checking your raw materials? Everything is taken care of, right? The next is 196 people taken ill due to food poisoning in the district. So it's a grave issue that is happening in our country, right? So how can we make a difference? How can businesses, how can professionals bring in a difference in this field of food safety? Okay. So what is a food business? When we talk about a food business, right, it is anything and everything to do with a complete food chain, a complete food supply chain, starting from your suppliers, be it your raw materials, manufacturers in terms of manufacturing your food, or else you can consider restaurants, hotels, right, cafes, all this. Then comes your distribution. So distribution happens worldwide, distribution happens within the country. It happens everywhere. So distribution is a key factor. And then it comes to retail, where your packed products are being sold in the retail market, right? And then your consumers, right? That is the entire cycle of the food business. So everybody except the consumer is considered as a food business, right? And this also includes your street food vendors. Your street food vendors are also known as food businesses, right? So when we talk about FSSAI, what is FSSAI? Anybody, any student, can you tell me what is FSSAI? What is FSSAI's role? I'm sure you can read it from the slide, but then what is your idea of FSSAI? No? All right. So the FSSAI is the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India. It is a statutory body which was established under the Food Safety Standards Act of 2006. It is an autonomous body. It means that it's by any the autonomous, it takes its own decision. It is not governed by the state or any other body or the government body, right? It is it is an autonomous body. The administrative ministry for FSSAI is the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. So it comes under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. So what does FSSAI do? It protects and promotes the public health through regulation and supervision of food safety. It is headquartered in New Delhi, and in every state there is a FSSAI office, right? Has anyone been to the FSSAI office? Any professionals who are working here, has anyone been to the FSSAI office? Have you seen the office? No? Mostly no, I think.
No.
If you are a student, you would definitely not have visited the FSSAI office. If you are a professional, maybe from your company, you would have gone there for any work or anything, but then it's a very rare situation. It's a FSSAI office is there in Delhi, in all the other states as well. It's the headquartered in Delhi. So what are the various FSSAI regulations? There are totally 6 regulations that came in 2011, right? Under the FSSAI Act, FSS Act, right? Licensing and registration of food business is one of them. Food product standards and food additives is another one. Packaging and labeling regulations is another one. Prohibition and restriction of sales, containment on toxic and residues, laboratory sample and analysis, right? These are the various regulations under the FSS Act. We will not cover everything in detail, but the basic idea is to ensure that you understand how the licensing system works, how the food products and packaging works, right? The labeling regulations work, right? That's the basic idea. So when we talk about licensing and registration, how many of you think that anybody and everybody who is working in the field of or owns a food business needs a license? Who needs a license? Can you tell me who needs a license? No? All right. So every food business operator that is involved in manufacturing, processing, storage, and sale and distribution of food is a food business operator and is required to have either a license or a registration, right? Any doubts? You can just mention in the chat if you have any doubts in terms of, or if you think that anybody is missed out here, please mention in the chat box. So when we talk about licensing and registration, what are the mandatory requirements for getting a license or a registration, right? So food and water testing is mandatory once in a 6 months from an enable accredited laboratory and a FSSAI notified laboratory. Anybody knows what is enable accredited, what is FSSAI notified laboratory? Okay. So enable accredited laboratory. So just like you, how many of you know ISO? Anybody has heard of ISO 22000 or any ISO certification? So if you have heard about ISO, right? The ISO certification is given to mostly any, so there are different certifications under ISO like 22,000, 14,000, right? 9,001. Similarly, the labs are given a certification. It can be a so then once it is given a certification, it is a enable accredited laboratory, right? Or a FSSAI notified laboratory. So FSSAI has a list of laboratories in India that are notified by FSSAI, meaning that they have done some kind of a check on that laboratory and they know that the sample that is tested there is authentic, right? So the FSSAI has notified these laboratories and there's a list available in the FSSAI website. The another criteria would be one FOSTAC certified food safety supervisor for every 25 food handlers should be present in the business, right? We'll talk about the food safety FOSTAC certification later. And the other would be comply with the labeling regulations for retail products. And then to submit annual returns before 31st of May every year. So what is the annual returns that you have done last year should be filled in before the 31st of May, the current year, right? Medical fitness test for food handlers should be done once in a year. Okay, let's talk about the licensing criteria. Now we know that licenses, there are two types. One is state, one is central. Then there is registration. So how do you know if the license that you need for your business, or if you are working in a company, what is the kind of license that they need? Okay, if the food business is a petty food vendor or a street food vendor or has a temporary stall with an annual turnover or up to 12 lakh, not more than 12 lakh, then they need a registration, right? If you are a general manufacturer, except any proprietary food or a nutraceutical food, then you need a state license. You know, this also depends on the production capacity and the annual turnover of the company. Okay, so there are different criteria under different categories. So if you are in manufacturing, your criteria is different. If you are in dairy, your criteria is different. So there is a huge list of criteria that is given in FSSAI. So you can go through that, right? Then there is a central license. So there are certain types of food manufacturers who would need a central license by default, like proprietary, like nutraceutical foods, like if you are doing e-commerce business. E-commerce means what? What is e-commerce? Anybody?
Online kind of selling and
Correct. So it says that if you are having an e-commerce business, then you should have a central license. Okay. What about if you are selling in Amazon? Does it applicable? Is it applicable to you as well if you are selling in Amazon? What do you think?
no.
No.
No? Why? That's also
Again,
e-commerce.
no, but if I am buying to Amazon,
Not buying, selling.
I am selling to Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
Amazon selling.
That correct. That also is central license.
You were right in the beginning when you said that it does
No,
not require, right? You were right. It does not require because Amazon will have its own central license. Okay, you will need a state license, right? Unless you fall into the category of any of the food like proprietary or nutraceutical, or your annual turnover is more than a particular number, then you need a central license. But by default, you don't need a central license for selling in Amazon or Flipkart. If you have your own e-commerce platform, your own website through which you are doing any sale, then you need a central license. You are right. All right, moving on. Okay, so under the FSS Act, under the Schedule 4 of FSSAI Act, there is a general hygiene requirement which needs to be followed for all your food businesses, right? So there is a separate section for hotels, there is a separate section for meat and meat products, there is a separate section for street food vendors. But in general, if you see, these are the basic criteria, right? You should check your location and surroundings. You should check if there is adequate space for manufacturing, storage, if the space is adequately lighted, ventilated. There is a floor wall ceiling which is checked, right? The floor wall ceiling should not have cracks, should not have any kind of flaky walls where the paint is spilling off, things like that. The windows and doors and other openings are closed with a mesh or a net, right? The potable water must be ensured. What is potable water? Anybody?
Water used in the manufacturing, the product
So if
is consumable.
is consumed, how do we determine that? So I can get any water, right? And then I can say this is consumable. If I say is it, or if you say is it potable?
No.
No. Then
We need to verify
hmm.
and do the treatment and all. Also, we need to send the sample.
Okay, so there are two things, right? Either you get the water tested with IS 10500, that's a standard. You get the sample tested and you say that the water is safe for drinking or cooking or using in the manufacturing or your restaurant or your hotel. Or else, if you are getting the water directly from the municipal corporation, right? Then in that case, you can just show the receipt where so let's say if you are a street food vendor, you don't have the money to actually get this water tested, right? How will they give 10,000 11,000 rupees for getting the water tested? They can't. So what will they do? They will just show that I am getting water from the municipal corporation, that the municipal corporation is responsible for giving safe drinking water to the public, and that is what they are using, right? That is a potable water. Okay, then comes non-corrosive vessel or container. What is non-corrosive? If you are using any vessel in which you are cooking, storing, or keeping any food, then that vessel should not be releasing any kind of chemical into the food. Meaning there should not happen any chemical leaching into your food, right? There should be sufficient drainage system and waste disposal in the premise, right? Personal hygiene and no jewelry. So personal hygiene means you wash your hands, you wear clean clothes and things like that, and then you don't wear any jewelry. So many places they have a no jewelry policy, right? Persons who are suffering from infectious diseases, right, which gets communicable diseases from one person to the another, then that person should not be working in a food business or preparing food or serving the food, anything of that sort, right? Okay, then comes eating, chewing, smoking, spitting, nose blowing should be prohibited when you are cooking or if you are working in a food business as a food handler, right? All stored food items should be covered to avoid contamination. Then if you are using any vehicles to transport your food or your raw materials, that vehicle should be clean. Okay, these are the very basic requirements. There's a huge list of requirements. You can go through the Schedule 4 of the FSS Act. Okay. Any doubts so far? So let's say there are a lot of food businesses, right? What are the various types of food businesses? I have mentioned a few here. Can anybody mention anything else? Meat is there, retail is there, bakery is there, milk and milk product, dairy is there. What else? Can anybody say?
Nutraceutical.
Nutraceutical. Then anything else?
Flour industries.
Flour industry. You okay? Rice flour or mills, right? Then rice and rice products. Anything else?
Industry.
Sorry.
Beverage industry.
Beverage. Very good. Anything else? Anything else? For those who so ma'am, whoever said nutraceutical, those who don't know what nutraceutical is, can anyone explain what is nutraceutical?
Where it's a kind the manufacturer who manufacture the human feed. Basically, it's a kind of like we see the protein powders or any health related products.
Correct, right? So have anybody eaten? So if you go to, if you have a fever, you suddenly go to a doctor and then the doctor does some test and they say that you have a vitamin deficiency, right? The vitamin that you eat as a capsule is not a pharmaceutical drug. It's a nutraceutical drug, right? Just like ma'am said, like protein bars or something like that. And other than that, there is also the vitamins that you eat, right? Those are also called nutraceuticals, right? So these are the various types. There are other industries as well that comes into, so someone wrote confectionery, right? Confectionery is also flavors and colors. Very good. Ingredients, right? Any ingredient that you use in the food is also a different, is a part of the industry, right? Refinery. What do you mean by refinery? Oil. Okay. Okay. There's alcohol also which comes under FSSAI. Is there anything else? No. Meat and poultry. Yes, it is also already mentioned here. Meat and poultry. So there's a huge rise of new food businesses in the country, if you have seen lately, right? Shark Tank India has given a boost to entrepreneurs to get new products in the market. New products, new innovative products, new things that are coming in every day. You are eating new kind of protein bars or nutrient bars, which are you are getting available, right? Cereals, ready to eat products. All this is increasing every day, right? It's not going to decrease anytime soon. People are going to get more and more into processed food, where people like you, people like professionals like in the field of food safety will be required to ensure that the people who are looking for these products are getting these products, right? At the end of the day, there should be someone who is able to develop this product, market the product, do the auditing, things like that, right? All right. So let's see, when we talk about these industries, right? What is a FSSAI labeling regulation? How many of you have seen a product label when you go to a supermarket? Have you seen any product in the market? Did you pick it up? Did you see what is written in the product? Come on, I need answers from people. Yes? What did you see? Mr. Rajesh, Akash, what did you see? Nutritional label, someone says, right? Eve. Okay, what did you see in the nutritional? You see the nutritional label, but what did you see? Mentioning calories and energy. Okay, okay. What else? Added sugars. Okay, great. So there's a new, I'm sure most of you would be in Instagram, right? There's a new person who is very common in the feeds these days, the food farmer. Has anyone come across his reels? No? Yes? Did you see what happened when he spoke about Bonvita? Yes. So he said that there's a added amount of sugar that is there in Bonvita, right? It's misleading. The label which is there is misleading, and he won the case against Bonvita, right? And Bonvita is supposed to change that, right? So see, consumers are getting aware every day. They are getting aware about what the product, what they should consume, what is written in the product, what are the ingredients that is mentioned. Is it a completely processed food that they are consuming? Is there something natural? Is there something organic in the product? Right. So these are all the things that one should be aware if you are a consumer or if you are working in this field, right? If you are working in this field, I'm sure you'll be having more insights. But you can ensure that people around you, your family, your friends are aware of what they should look for in a label, right? So the FSSAI labeling regulations, FSS Standards Labeling Regulations 2011 says that wholesome and safe food for human consumption is what should be ensured when someone is selling food, right? It was implemented on 5th of August 2011 and it was again amended in 2020. Okay. So when we talk about labeling and display requirements, right, this is just for example. So the package must mention the address of the factory, right? You can see many of you have seen. So before I get into this, can anyone tell me what are the required mandatory requirements in the label? Can anybody quickly say? I have already told it's the address. What else?
Product name match.
Okay.
Allergen declaration.
Manufacturing date, use by dates. Then
Allergen declaration.
allergen declaration. Great. Then
Veg and non-veg identification.
Intended use.
okay, veg and non-veg. Okay.
Intended use, ma'am.
Intended use. Okay, great. Anything else? Grammage, factory name, allergen declaration, logos. What do you mean by logos? Veg logo green. Okay. Then the FSSAI logo. So let's quickly see what are the major requirements, mandatory requirements, right? So this is an example that I've kept here. Name of the product, FSSAI logo and license number. No one mentioned license number. That's the most important thing. Okay, Mr. Suresh, good. Yes, you have mentioned that. Address, ingredients, nutritional information, veg and non-veg symbol. So is nutritional information mandatory for everything? Any food? Yes, no? Yes, no? Is nutritional information mandatory for any kind of food that is being packaged and sold? No?
Yes.
Yes. Exemption for tea and rice. Okay, why? So any single ingredient product, right, doesn't require you to give the nutritional information. If there are more than one ingredient, then you need the nutritional information. That's the thing, right? That's the reason. Okay. Veg, non-veg symbol, manufacturing date, batch number, best before or use by date, weight, customer care details, price. These are the mandatory requirements. But apart from this, there are a lot more things like where should the veg logo be placed? Where should be the FSSAI license number be placed? Where should the customer care details should be placed? All this is very clearly mentioned in the regulation, right? Labeling regulation. If you go through that, only then you'll get to know. It's a huge document. It's not possible for us to show that in this particular 1 hour session, right? Because we have to cover so many things. All right. So when we talk about product, we have spoken about license, we have spoken about the labeling regulations. What are the mandatory testing requirements when it comes to people and product? So what will you test in a person who is working in the food manufacturing industry or a food business versus what will you test in a product?
Annual medication for the people.
So when we talk about product, sorry, I think I lost your voice. I couldn't hear you.
No, you asked for the people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then I was telling about the people annual medication.
Yes.
And also the swab testing.
Okay. Anything else? So swab testing is not mandatory. Okay.
It's not a mandatory, but
yes.
in case some
yes, definitely. It's always a good thing. If you do a swab test, it's always a good thing because, yeah.
Annual medication and vaccination is.
Yes, annual medication and vaccination is. So when you are doing a swab test of a food handler, you can get to know what is the personal hygiene or the hand hygiene of the person who is working, right? It's always a good thing, but it's not mandatory. What is mandatory in product testing is that the water testing is done as per IS 10500, done once in a 6 months, and the microbiological testing and chemical testing of food products is also done once in 6 months, including pesticide residue. So how many of you are aware about the new regulation that has come in FSSAI, where every food business operator is required to upload their test reports on the portal, like on the FSSAI portal? How many of you are aware of the FSSAI portal? FSSAI portal is where you can go get your own license, right? FSSAI portal, where you can go to FOSCOS.gov.com, right? You can go there and get your own license. If you don't have a license, if you have a license, you can log into the website and get the details of your license, how to apply for your renewal, how to apply for your how to fill your annual returns, how to update your license. If you want to do any modification in your license, everything is available in the FOSCOS portal. Okay, so this is mandatory for the past few months. It's mandatory that you upload your lab test reports on the portal, without which you will be getting a notification from it. All right. So like ma'am was specifying that the food handler's medical test is important. It is, so there's a performer for medical fitness which is given. So a doctor, a certified practitioner, medical practitioner needs to fill this and sign this with the seal and the supporting documents like a physical examination, eye test, skin test, test for communicable disease, and vaccination for enteric group of diseases should be included along with this document. Okay. Right. So we were talking about the fact that every 25 individuals who are working in a food business, one person should be food safety supervisor, right? So this is a mandatory training which is given by FSSAI. So there are several training partners across the country. We are one of the leading training partners ourselves. We do this FOSTAC training. There are 3 different types of trainings: basic, special, and advanced, right? So how do you determine which who needs a basic training versus who needs a special training, who needs a advanced training? Can anyone tell me? No? Right. So if you hold a license, if you are a license holder, if you have a state or a central license, you are required to attend the advanced course. advanced manufacturing, advanced storage, or advanced catering, or retail distribution, anything but an advanced course needs to be attended. If you have a registration, that is, if you are a street food vendor, if you are a petty food business, if you have a food truck, right? These days that is very common. These people can go for a basic training, right? Then comes the special training. The special training is for people. So let's say if you have a license, which is a specific license for milk and milk product, if you have a license specific for meat and poultry, then you should go for a special training. Okay, that's a different training. Okay, so when we talk about FOSTAC training, like I said, these are the trainings. In under special courses, there are other courses as well, but I mentioned only two. Any doubts in this? So, Mr. Babulal, right? FOSTAC training needs to be done once in a year. No, it doesn't. You don't have to do FOSTAC training once in a year, because FSSAI has changed the regulation. It is a lifetime valid certificate now. If you get the training done now, your validity of the certificate is lifetime. You don't need to renew your certificate. Okay. All right. So anybody has any doubts? I think I'm done with the training. Any questions, any feedback you have, you can put it down in the chat. Any questions related to the session that we had? No? So these are few of our clients that we have worked with in the past. In processing units and retail, these are our clients. In prepared foods, these are our clients. So thank you so much, everyone who has joined in. I think thank you for interacting. That was a very important thing. Any questions, you can always write to us, right? Please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And also you can write to us if you need our email ID. It's available in our website. Please do reach out to us if you need any training, if your food business needs any help, right? Anything of that sort. Or if you are a student, please feel free to come and attend our training sessions. We are also hosting India Food Safety Conclave on the 23rd of June. If you have not gone through our website, please do. Is anybody aware of India Food Safety Conclave? No? All right, so you can visit our website, conclave.foodsafetyworks.com. Students get a 50% discount on the delegate fee. If you are a professional, you can come and attend the it's a one-day event where different companies are coming in. People from CFTRI, FSSAI are coming in. There'll be a panel discussion happening, and it will be one of a kind event here, hosted in Bangalore. So it's a very good opportunity for you to come and connect with people in this industry. If you are interested, please do reach out to us, and we are there. So any questions, please let us know. Thank you so much.